let's have a look at how we can share our photos directly from our photos library. We have different options for that, and we'll start with shared albums. So you simply select the photos you want to share, and then you either right click and go to share, and you will see all your options here. Shared albums is what we want, or you can go to that symbol up here, go shared albums, it's the same, and then we can either decide to create a new shared album or to add these photos to an existing one. So I'm going to create a new one. I give it a name, and then I can invite people. So I simply type their email address, and if I want more than one, I can add another person, and it can also open my address book. And I can add a little comment, photos from our trip, anything, create. Done. Now when you go to the sidebar and open your shared albums folder, you will see that album, photos shared, that we just created. The other person who was invited has now received an email telling them that they have been invited to the shared album, and they can click on subscribe, and then they can see the same photos. If they're on a Mac, they will see that album in their shared album folder on their Mac or on their phone, and they can, if they want to, they can save my photos into their library, because now all they do is they see these photos, they're not theirs, they haven't really been added to their library. And in my library, what has happened actually is that it made a copy. It is not linked to my original photo anymore. So if I go and I edit, let's say, I'll take that photo here and I will edit it and make it black and white. So it's really obvious. Done. Now this photo is black and white. When I look at it in the shared photos album, it's still the one that I have uploaded. It hasn't changed because they're not linked at all. You can upload up to 5,000 items, so that can be photos or videos, and it doesn't depend on the size, it's the numbers, and it actually doesn't count against your iCloud storage. What happens if somebody else shares an album with me? Let's go into that one. And I know that these three photos here, they have been shared with me. They're not my own. Now, if I want to keep them, I simply right click on them and I import. So that means it will be added to my library. When I now go, let's just check Command I, that was taken on the 21st of July 19. So I will go to 21st of July 19, and here it is. That is the photo that I have just imported. And that way I can save photos that have been shared with me to my own library, and now they're in my collection. Oftentimes people use that shared album features within families, or let's say you go on a trip with friends, then you both take photos, you can both upload your photos to a shared album, and you can import and keep photos from the other person from that same trip and add them to your library. That's an easy way to do. It might be worth noting that shared album photos are slightly compressed, but you know, if you don't want to blow them up and put them on the wall on a huge canvas, that won't make a huge difference. Sometimes it gets a bit confusing. What are my photos? What are other people's photos? You can always go to that activity album here, and you will always see what has been done. So this tells me that I have joined that album called Test. So that means this is not my album and these photos are not mine. And here I have shared photos with other people. So see that these are mine. I don't need to import them or do anything. That way I can see what's been going on. Now, if I want to delete a shared album, I can simply right click on this and delete it. And what will then happen, it will not only delete it from my library and all my Apple devices, it will delete it for everyone. So all the invitees, the album in their shared album folder will disappear without any warning. So if you do want to delete an album, maybe make sure that they know that you're about to delete it and tell them, look, if you want to keep some photos, import them now, save them to your library because I'm going to delete the album tomorrow. Another way to share photos, when I go back to my library here, I can simply select these photos, go share and mail. It will depend on what you're using. In Apple Mail, what will happen is that it will create a new email and then you can send your photos and you get to choose which size you want to send them in. So it can be small, medium, large, or original size. You can change that in the email and simply send them from there. Then you've got messages, the same thing. You can send these photos by text to one or several persons. And one of my favorite one is AirDrop. This works between Apple devices. When you go on AirDrop, it will find all the devices that are nearby and that have got AirDrop on. Sometimes people have turned it off, so it won't find them. And that way I could send these photos now to this other Mac, and on the other Mac I will get a pop-up message that will then ask me whether I want to accept that. And when I do accept, it also asks me whether I want to add them to my photos library or to my download folder. So you get to choose. As we see in this example, it can go from computer to computer. It can go between phones, only iPhones, of course, and it can go between phones and computers. This is my favorite way to get hold of my husband or my kids' phone photos that I want to add to our family collection that sits on my Mac, because that way I simply airdrop the photos I want to add to my camera roll on my phone, and then all I have to do is download my phone photos to my Mac into my photos library, and I've got it all. The good thing also is that if you have optimized storage turned on, if you're using iCloud Photos and only keep small files on your phone, when you airdrop these files, it will first download the original and then send it to the other person. So you do get the original size of a photo, which is great. There are a few other ways to share photos, and it will depend on what apps you have on your computer. So here it's notes and reminders. Sometimes Evernote would pop up or other apps, and you can send your photos to these apps as well. Some people, they like to share photos to another cloud service, for example to Dropbox, to Forever, to maybe Google Photos or Flickr, SmugMug, all these cloud photo services. And the way that goes, you don't have to send them from here, or you can't actually. So what you do is you go to your cloud service, and I will use Dropbox in this example. So I'm in a Dropbox folder here, and then what I do is simply go to upload files. And when you scroll down to the bottom here, you get photos, and that always connects to your system library. And then your whole photo libraries will become visible, so you can either go in the feed here and just select your photos that you want to upload, or you can actually go and upload photos from an album. So if I've got that holiday here, go on the album, and then I can select all these photos from here and simply click on choose, and it will upload them. All these cloud services are very similar. So I know, SmugMug and Flickr, and they all work the same. you can upload them directly from your photos library. There is no need to export your photos. This is how you can share photos in different ways, and we will cover how to export photos should it be necessary in a different video.